Hi guys, and welcome back here to Drone in Motion, a channel where we do drone videos and where we cover the most recent and most relevant drone news. Today, my friends, we're back here once again with a brand new video and with a quite exciting one and with some breaking news for all of you. And that is because in today's video, we're going to be talking about the DJI Mavic 3 and most particularly on the fact that it looks like we are going to be having two different versions of the Mavic 3, just like what we saw 3 years ago with the original release of the Mavic 2 series. It looks like the story is going to repeat itself, and we have gotten confirmation that there's going to be two different models. And in today's video, we're going to be talking to you about which versions these are going to be, what the difference are going to be, and the main characteristics for each. And I mean, guys, the main differences I can tell you already are going to be the camera. Stay tuned for today's video as it's going to be packed with some very exciting information. And just to give you a quick hint, it includes a micro four thirds sensor, so you want to stay tuned for today's video. You're not going to want to miss out on it, guys. But before we get started with today's video, if you're new to the channel, welcome here, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because in this channel we will always be the first ones to bring the most recent drone news no matter what. So if you want to keep up to date with any upcoming release from DJI, such as the Mini 3, the Mavic 3, or any upcoming drone or product in the near future, this is the place to come for the latest leaks, infos, and updates. And also, we're currently in the road to 10,000 subscribers. So if you're watching today's video, you're not subscribed to the channel yet, well, I invite you to go ahead and join the Drone in Motion family, so you can help us get to that goal, which we're really not that far away from, guys, anymore. So with that being said, why don't we just go ahead and get started with today's video, which is going to be a quite exciting one. So last week we had a lot of leaks about the Mavic 3 thanks to our great friend Rafael from Drone Modelismo. This guy is an extremely reliable source for anyone wondering out there how reliable is this guy. I mean, just to give you a quick background about what this guy has done in the past, well, thanks to him, he was able to leak the Mavic Air 2. Just to give you an idea and a perspective of, and make you feel a bit more confident that this guy knows what he's doing and he's very reliable. And well, he now had the Mavic 3 leaks for all of us last week, and we talked about the specs that the Mavic 3 was going to be having, its main features, and we shared some images here in the channel with you. And some of you, I noticed that you were a bit disappointed on seeing the specs that the Mavic 3 was going to be having. I mean, we didn't have some crazy specs. I mean, I think they were pretty reasonable and conservative. I mean, we did saw some upgrades, but nothing crazy, nothing revolutionary. And well, just today, thanks to Rafael, once again, we got confirmation that there are going to be two versions for the Mavic 3. There will not only be one, there will be two. And I mean, I am pretty excited for that. So what we're gonna get started with is that I'm gonna go ahead and share with you the images that we got last week, talk about the specs for the Mavic 3, and then go ahead and talk about the specs for the Mavic 3 Pro, because it looks like that's going to be the way that it is going to be named. So let's go ahead and take a look at those images right here on the screen, guys. So there we have them. As we have talked previously, there are not actual images, there are sketches and drawings that were made by him. Unfortunately, he was not able to share the real deal for obvious reasons, so he had to go ahead and draw the drone just as how he saw it. But what we have right there is the Mavic 3. The first thing that we can see is that camera. Now it looks quite weird, but don't worry, guys, this is a dual Hasselblad camera. On the top, we're going to be having a 7x zoom camera. On the bottom, we're going to be having a 5.7K resolution camera with an aperture of f2.8 and a 24mm lens. And then DJI will also include ultra wide angle lens, which is going to be a 16mm lens adapter for the Mavic 3, which is quite nice and neat. Also, this Mavic 3 will include new collision avoidance system. Side sensors have been removed, unfortunately, and the reason for this is being because DJI needs to save weight And you might be wondering, will it still have 360-degree optical avoidance? Yes, the answer to that is yes, it will still have 360-degree optical avoidance. But what DJI has done is that they have placed their rear sensors instead of at the back in the middle. They have now shifted them to the corners, and they are now some ultra wide camera sensors. So that's going to be really good news. So we have sensors shifted to the corners in the back of the drone, in the front, and on the top. Of course, in addition to that are going to be our optical flow sensors in the bottom. So that is something to keep in mind. Don't worry guys, we'll still have 360-degree optical avoidance. Now we're also be having Apple ProRes format support. In addition to that, we're going to be having a 1 terabyte internal memory. Now this sounds a bit crazy, but according to our good friend Rafael, it looks like this is what the Mavic 3 will be including. Now let's talk about flight time. We're going to be having a flight time of 40 minutes with this new DJI Mavic 3. Let's talk about battery size. Well, we're going to be having a battery which is going to be ranging between 5,000 and 6,000 milliamperes. The battery size is not exactly confirmed yet, but we should have that soon. But the battery has been increased in size, and as well as the flight time has been dramatically increased from the previous 30 minutes of flight time that we had with the Mavic 2, I'm sorry guys. Now we're also going to be having the battery mounting from the back, just like what we have with the Mini 2. It's going to be the same style, and also the gimbal will now have an automatic integrated lock system, which means that most likely the acrylic protector that we have on all DJI drones will no longer need to be utilized. That's something quite nice. Now let's go ahead and talk about our second version. So this first Mavic 3 is good, the specs are not bad, and I mean, they're pretty reasonable, I think, but from what I saw, guys, I think that you're not very impressed. And from what I'm seeing is that if it doesn't have anything bigger than a 1-inch sensor, you're not going to be interested. And I agree with you. We need to see something better. We need to see a revolution rather than just a simple evolution with some nice small changes. I think that's not enough, especially because DJI had over 3 years to develop this drone. So we know that the Mavic 3 is going to be called this way. We received confirmation from Rafael from that as well. That will be the name for the Mavic 3. It looks like DJI will not drop the name. It will be called the DJI Mavic 3. And now we're going to be having a second version, which is going to most likely be called the DJI Mavic 3 Pro. That's not, the name for that version is not confirmed yet, so stay tuned for that. But we're going to be having a second version, which is going to include a more professional camera. Now, about a month ago, the guys over from Drone DJ, which are a quite reliable source as well, gave us confirmation that the Mavic 3 was going to be having a micro four thirds sensor. So that was quite interesting. And when we got these leaks last week, that micro four thirds sensor made no sense. But now it does, because we now know that the Mavic 3 is going to be available in 2 different versions. Most likely we're going to be having that dual zoom Hasselblad camera, which is quite nice with that 1-inch sensor, and then DJI will most likely offer the same chassis but with an upgraded camera, which most likely will be a micro four thirds sensor, which is the same sensor which we have right here with Inspire 2, which that will be absolutely impressive, and the results that we will get from that camera will just absolutely be mind-blowing. Now, in addition, we know that the Phantom series is now practically retired, and DJI is not going to be releasing a Phantom 5, and we know that the Mavic 3 is going to be replacing the Phantom line, so they need to do some outstanding and be able to release some outstanding specs with the Mavic 3 Pro. So I think that the least we can expect at this point is a micro four thirds sensor, which is basically twice the size of a 1-inch sensor. So I mean, just imagine the low light footage that we will get from that. So the main differences will be the camera. I think that aside from that, the specs as far as flight time are concerned, the design of the chassis, the controller are going to stay practically the same. I think it will be the same story as what we have with the Mavic 2. The main differences will just be the camera, and it looks like that will be happening. Now, the resolution is not confirmed yet, but we do know that DJI was developing a sensor capable of shooting 8K resolution, and we also do know that one of the prototypes of the Mavic 3 was able to shoot 8K resolution at 30 frames per second. So we can expect to see 8K resolution with a micro four thirds sensor. I mean, that will just be absolutely mind-blowing. Now keep in mind that resolution is not as important as the size of the sensor, but it still plays a big role. So as soon as you have any more new info on the Mavic 3 Pro version, don't worry guys, you will have it here first. You don't need to worry about it. But I think the good news is, and what we can take away from this video is that there will be two different versions, and there will be a Pro version, which is what I know you guys all love and want. So as soon as we have any more info, don't worry, you will have it here first. And as far as transmission system is concerned, most likely we are going to be having OcuSync 3.0, and that is because we know that the Mavic 3 will utilize the same controller as the Air 2S, which has OcuSync 3.0, so you can expect to get a 13-kilometer range for the Mavic 3. So those are the latest leaks and info that we have on the Mavic 3. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks so much for watching, and see you tomorrow with a brand new video. This is Drone Emotion, signing out.